From what I've seen, the money usually only comes when you're able to do something long term and long enough to where you're a master of it. But
Hmm.
here's the flip side. You're able to do it long term because uh, it's like you said, you never stopped, right? So here's a question that I have for you, Robert. You never, in all your years that you have never stopped acting, you've never stopped martial arts in front of the camera. I'm gonna say you've done it because it makes you happy.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Yes.
I think finding what makes you happy and being able to connect to that thing and to know that thing that makes each one of us happy is success itself. Here's
Yes.
why. I think a lot of people spend too much time thinking about the definitions of what other people define as success. A lawyer is successful, a doctor is successful,
Yeah.
engineers, so like you have these classic images of success. But the thing is that I've met I met somebody who's a very extremely financially successful person, and I asked him like, "Do you like what you do?" And he's like, "No, I hate it." And I
Hmm.
was blown away because that broke my heart a little bit because I'm like, "So why did you keep on doing it for all these years?" And he's like, "Money." I'm
Yeah.
just like, that made me sad because that goes back to my thesis of, did this guy ever connect to that thing that made him happy? Um, and so I think when you are fortunate enough to try things and find that thing that makes you happy. And granted, we're all gonna have like a lot of interests, multiple interests, as we were talking in a previous episode of being multi-dimensional. We're gonna
Hmm.
have our multiple interests, but if you're able to tap into that thing that makes you happy, then I think that when you then apply that thing to a work structure like myself in camera work and editing in the news industry, and it's something that makes you happy, because it makes you happy, you can go long term. And because you
Yeah.
go long term, that's kind of part of the happiness, and the beauty of it is that that longevity happens because you're actually happy. It makes you happy to do the thing that you're doing if you connect it to the thing that makes you happy, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Um, I don't see. I can't see myself giving up doing this. You know, I love it too much, and
Have
as
you ever
you
had
know,
a moment where you tried to give up, Robert, or you're just like, I'm going to step away for 6 months or something like that?
yeah, there's been a moment where I was like, this, like, what's the point? I'm not where I want to be. You know, I'm not in Hollywood making movies with all these people that I want to make movies with. You know,
Yeah.
but at that time, my mind was just like, that was success to me. You know, and then it came up later on. I was like, okay, I am successful because I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, my mindset was the same as those people who look at success a different way.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if John will remember, but I told him like at one point, he's like, "What do you want out of all this?" I was like, "I want to be the guy people recognize in the streets. I want to be the one who's like people stopping to ask for an autograph." He's like, "Oh, so you just want the success?" And I was like, "Yeah. I mean, what else is
Uh,
there? You
yeah.
know?" And then later on, I was like, wait a minute. I am successful
Yeah.
because I didn't give this up. I could have easily just been like, hey, I'm just gonna give this up because I have no money. But come to realize I actually love doing this, you know, and I wish a lot of people would be in that mindset of I love doing this, not just because I want to have a lot of money, but because I can entertain people,
Yeah.
you know.
The
Yeah,
craft
the
basically.
craft itself, you know.
I think when you love the craft and you're happy with your craft, whether if it's, you know, filmmaking or if it's some other industry, I think when you love your craft and when you love what you do because you're fortunate enough to figure that out, then that happiness will lead you to the longevity that will allow you to be able to do it long term.
Hmm.
And and I think that's such a blessing. But again, I think too many people don't take that time to listen and realize and try different things, to look within and say, okay, what am I good at? What do I like? What do I not like? Robert, I went to Pima Community College, the downtown campus here in Tucson, and I went to class on my days off for about 2 months to be a paralegal back in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I hate being a paralegal, or I'm not going to like it.
Yeah.
But because I tried it, right? I thought, because I saw the sexy moments. I was there as a cameraman for all of the sexy moments for some of the the state's legal highs and legal lows with regards to things like SB 1070 and whatnot. So I saw the sexy moments and I thought, I'm going to be a lawyer, but I'm going to first be a paralegal, right? And I went to school for that, and I'm just like, yeah, never mind. I can't do this. And so by trying different things, you're going to realize what makes you happy, who you are, what you're good at, what you suck at. And I think very much like a pinball machine ball will bounce back and forth from different, it's literally finding its way to where it needs to go by bouncing off the walls to where it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
And so another thing that I try to do, medicine, math and science, bro. Sorry, like my brain is just not for that. So medicine, law, and here's the funny thing, I always gravitated back toward camera work and editing stuff. And I'm just like, oh man, like, like this is the thing, the thing that I was blessed to do and to really be good at. So
I feel you.
I think when you have that deep conversation of who are you, what do you like, what really, like, what actually makes you happy, and you're blessed enough to have that self-awareness and that self-knowledge of what makes you happy, then will come the longevity and the hard work. It's not like you just figure it out and then boom, $1 million shows up. Then you find the longevity to be able to put in the hard work long term, like years, bro, years. And that will lead you to the money.
Oh yeah.
So the money is actually the byproduct of I call it the byproduct, the secondary product of a much deeper journey that we all kind of, my opinion is, we all should choose to kind of take and go within and ask these questions of what chooses to make you happy and wonder. Because Robert, you've been doing this all these years, bro, where you obviously are happy. Is it easy? No, but you obviously are happy in continuing to do the thing that you said, as you said, success is the doing.
It's funny that you brought up like trying out other things that you thought you wanted to do. My mom, she was a CNA for most of my life, like 30 some odd years. So eventually I was like, well, that's something I want to do because my mom's doing it. So I became a CNA for 11 years of my life, and I hated the hell out of it. Like, I hated it.
Robert, how did I know? I didn't know you were a CNA. You're a CNA?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
here we are figuring this out, like on. That's why we're talking, right? To talk about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my mom loved it. She loved taking care of people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the fact that I didn't like taking care of people. I love taking care of people, but the fact that working this dead end job that people didn't appreciate you in it. And there was a lot of politics. Like, I really hated it. Like, I would get up every morning, like, okay, here we go. Here's another day. But taking care of people, I love like I said, I love taking care of them, but just the politics behind it sucked. But doing that, but also having doing my acting, they collided with each other. So there were times where I would call off of work just so I can go to an audition.
Oh, okay.
Or there was times when I would call off of work because I needed to be on set for something. I was always putting my acting first. And there was a time where I went to my boss and I was like, hey, I got this. I never lied to him really until I had to. But I was like, hey, I got this great opportunity, to be on this movie, and I really need these days off. And they're like, well, go find somebody to cover you. And I couldn't.
Mm.
So with that, I was like, look, I'm just gonna call off work and say I have an emergency appointment or something, you know. And there's stuff that I would do like that, and I had to. It's not because if I stayed in that job and didn't chase after what I wanted to do, I would still be there.
Yeah.
I would still be in this job that didn't appreciate me. So it is
You
what it is.
you had the courage. You had the courage to step. Like obviously you tried. You not you tried. You were a CNA for like you said 10 years.
Yeah, 10, 11 years.
Damn, Robert, I didn't even know this about you, bro. Like, so
Yeah.
you did that for that long, and you realized like, okay, this is not the thing for me, and you went
Mhm.
back to where your heart gravitated to, where your heart took you, which was always acting and the arts and whatnot.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, you got to share that story, bro, like with everyone that you can, because that is such a powerful lesson for people to take something away from that, to do it for that long, bro, to do
Mhm.
something for that long, and still that thing never leave you of like, this doesn't make me happy,
Yeah.
that speaks volumes of how connected you were to that little thing inside of you that kept on telling you that. And I think more people need to hear that story, Robert. I mean, and I hope people are hearing and paying attention through, Filmspiration on YouTube and also on Facebook. Damn, Robert, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah. Thank you.
you know, like I have heard, back to this other gentleman I told you about, he's done extremely well for himself, but straight up told me, he's like, hate my job, but I've been doing it for years because it pays good money. And I just think, that makes me sad, because I also know another person in the acting craft here in Tucson who always had that itch in the back of this person's mind to be in front of the camera, but they had to do what they had to do for their family, which was they went through a career first, put 30, 40 years in. I don't know the exact number, but they did right by their family, and they were responsible in that aspect. But you know, in this person's older years, um, I asked this person, did you like your day job? Did you like the thing that you did? And he's just like, I came to like it, but I originally stepped into it um, just because it was a job, like like nothing more than that. And that I admire the fact that he hung in there for his family, and he did what he needed to do for his family.
Yeah.
Kids are grown, they have their own lives, etc. I'm pretty sure he's got some great kids. But then he stepped into his acting thing like so many years later. So I'm happy at least that so many years later he still did that thing. I don't know how many decades later, and he scratched the itch of acting. And so I think it's a personal journey of that we all should take, of looking within. If you've never bothered to, everyone out there in the audience, um, ask yourself who are you really? What do you really like?
Hmm.
What are you really passionate about? Because if you're a lawyer but you like making pots and you want to start a pottery store, start the pottery store.
Yeah. Do it.
And here's the thing, I'm even willing to, as a person who's always had a day job for years, I'm even willing to understand the whole day job thing, because Robert, you got kids. I don't have kids, but you've got kids. A lot of other people have other responsibilities. So you got to bring that money in. And I
Yeah.
entirely understand that. For me, it's just bills. For me, it's, not that it's the same thing, but, my dogs, I got to feed them, and, I got to get them to the vet too. Um, but the thing is that like that requires money. So I understand. I'm even willing to understand that um, if you have to have a day job, awesome. You know what I mean? As
Hmm.
long as you're feeding your soul and that thing that makes you happy at night, after work, or on the weekends, because you don't want to let that part of you die. And in my case, I'm very blessed to do something extremely related with cameras and editing and creativity and whatnot, extremely related to the filmmaking thing. for my day job. I'm very blessed to do that. My example of examples was when I went to go see Spike Lee speak at ASU like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I come to realize I never knew this about the guy. Apparently, he's a film professor at Columbia University. So technically, guy's got a day job.
Oh yeah, wow, I didn't know that.
But what's he's and I got to meet him and everything, and had a very quick moment with him. But that's the biggest thing that I realized is, okay, like maybe this having a day job thing, maybe I'm onto something. Maybe it's part of the path, and it's okay to have a day job, because I have people said, well, if you're so successful as being a filmmaker, like one person in particular, like, why are you still working a day? Well, it's because guess what? You got to pay the bills, and that's entirely respectable. I just encourage people, if you're able to have a day job very similar to, or that has something to what makes you happy, do that. Like Robert, if you start up a karate school and you're making money, kudos to you. And you're doing your film thing on the weekends, on the side, or at night, kudos to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if somebody's not, like, even if your day job is not related to your outside passion, like your moonlighting passion, I still recommend you look at it like this. Like, okay, well, at least I'm blessed to have a job. I'm feeding my family, taking care of the bills as it should be. But again, don't stop doing that thing inside of you that to keep that passion and that fire alive. Don't stop doing that, because when that dies, I think a part of you dies.
Yeah.
Without your physical body dying, but a part of you died, with regards to that. And then, so what's funny is the majority of everything, like, and I'm going to be quiet now, Robert, because I feel like I hijack the conversation sometimes.
No, it's all good.
The majority of everything we've been talking with regards to this topic and in this segment is been about that inner journey of, what makes you happy, and finding out what makes you happy, and reaching for that thing, even if it's on the side, on the weekends, etc. And our conversation's been less about money.
Mm-hmm.
Money's on the back end of that. Money is important. It's so ironic, because money will never replace the time you had. I know your dad is not with us, mm-hmm. but no amount of money will ever, and may you rest in peace, Robert. No amount of money will ever bring dad back. So money is it's so important on one hand, because we do need it, but it's so insignificant on the other hand in comparison to things like your dad, in comparison to things like the special people in our lives. And it's such a dichotomy of a relationship with money, because on one hand, it doesn't matter, mm-hmm. up against things like your dad. On the other hand, you do need to pay the bills. And so it boggles my mind, but money's been the last thing that we've been talking about in this whole thing. So I don't know, that's what I can say. I really do recommend people get their head straight with regards to what make success and what makes you happy. And